What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and I'm fangirling just a little bit. I've got one of my favorite YouTubers ever, John Flickinger, the Flick Pick himself on Geeks and Gamers. I can retire now. I'm a happy man. What's going on, John?
Well, I'm happy to be here too, man. It's going well. I'm glad to be here. We've talked on and off on Twitter for months and months, and man, I'm glad we're finally doing this. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man. No, it's a pleasure. I seriously have been watching you for so long, and the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you right now is crazy because I've been watching you back when you were skinny, or when you looked like me. All right, when you were skinny before you turned into Mark Wahlberg or whatever.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Come here. Hey.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So it's really cool to have you here. I've always admired your channel. I've always appreciated the Walmart and the Best Buy videos. Probably inspired some of mine that I put on my personal channel. I always put a little SJW spin on mine though, because I did one on my personal channel where I was making a point of why are so many eggs white? We need more diversity in eggs. And
I actually, funny enough, I buy the brown eggs.
See, so, diversity.
Yeah, you can never claim any ill statements against me.
Heard that. All right, I'm going to hit you from the beginning with this question, okay? You were like me. Now, I don't know your answer to this. You were like me, and I love Nolan. I worship Nolan, okay? And you loved The Dark Knight Rises. You loved it. You called it like masterpiece. And so did I. So did I. All right. Every time I watch this movie, and I watch it, and I still love it, but my God, there's so many problems in that movie that I just did not acknowledge for so long. Yeah. Are you like me in that respect? How do you view that movie all these years later now?
Every time I watch it, I find a new plot hole.
Yes.
But here's a testament to the movie. Here's a testament to the movie. Did you notice it the first time you watched it?
Nope.
No,
nope.
It took 20 plus viewings to pick up on little things. So really, and you're looking to nitpick it. You know, we nitpick the things that we love eventually, or at least I do, after the hype dies down. And it's got tons of plot holes. There's some sub storylines in that movie that could just be eradicated, taken right out of it. There's 20-minute segments in that movie. Sometimes if I'm watching it on Netflix or something, I'll just skip right over it and get into the good stuff. But with all that said, I still love it.
Absolutely. Me too. I mean, I still love it. But yeah, watch it. You're like, where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? I was just like, oh my God, that's such a bad scene. And when Miranda Tate dies, or whatever her name is, you know, because she's Talia, you know, Jim Gordon, when he's just like, Bruce Wayne, you know, it's just like, God. But I still love it. It's just, I think it had an unrealistic expectation too with it following The Dark Knight. It was never going to match that, you know, that unbelievable bar that The Dark Knight set. But yeah, I remember because when you watched it, you Stuckman Johns, you know, all freaked out, you know, over it. And, you know, so I went to see The Dark Knight Rises 4 times in 3 different states in the first weekend because it was nuts. And I went and saw it 11 times total. And even through those 11 times, I never noticed any of the problems. I'm like, this might be as good as The Dark Knight. This is one of the greatest movies ever. And now I watch it and I'm like, God, yeah, there's a lot of problems, but I still love it. So, okay, we're on the same page on that. So.
Oh yeah, dude. I saw it in the theaters 5 or 6 times. I drove to a 3-hour screening to go see it actually at Stuckman's screening because at the time he had the early press status. And I remember we were both sitting there fangirling out, just like I remember the Bane Batman fight scene where Batman goes, oh, and he's all wet and trying to punch Bane, and we both looked at each other and like I don't know, smiled at each other in the weirdest possible way. I bet people in the theater were looking at us like, what's going on between those two? But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, dude, I loved it. And it at the time watching it, I might have said I liked it more than The Dark Knight. But, you know, that was almost 10 years ago. What was that, 8 years ago?
It was 2012.
12, so 2020, so 8 years ago. I'm not a mathematician. So, yeah, man, it's not as good as The Dark Knight. But the thing is, they tried to go further. It became a little convoluted rather than streamlined. Bane had the most convoluted plot. Let's blow up tunnel systems to trap police officers underground. But somehow they can't manage just to find a drain pipe to crawl out of or something. But
I know.
But beyond that, you know, it's still solid.
Hey, that first Batman Bane fight is awesome. I don't like the second one's not that great, but that first one, like the storytelling element and Bane pulling a full like WWF promo during it.
Oh yeah,
I love that entire scene. And you know, his henchmen are standing there and just like, we're not worried about it. This dude's about to beat the hell out of Batman. And yeah, I do very much still adore that movie. But yeah, the problems were there. But you know, like you said, I had to watch it a lot. You had to watch it a lot. A lot of people had to watch it a lot before we start really nitpicking it. And that's a testament to the movie. So good stuff right there. Now, Speaking of Nolan, he's the one pushing right now to get theaters back open with Tenet. Yeah. Do you think it's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen.
Dude, I don't know. I live in Alabama. You're in Florida, right?
I'm in Florida, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually, I think, right above you, 5 hours north of you.
You're like North Alabama,
yeah,
right?
Huntsville area.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually early on in my life, I lived in Albertville area. So I actually, you know, spent some time in that area.
Really?
So I know where you're at.
Yeah, not from here, but yeah. The crazy thing is tomorrow gyms are opening up here. Mm-hmm. So I think where I live, theaters, they can open, but there's nothing to go watch. So that's the downside. Do I think theaters will open up in July? I don't know. It's too soon. I think some people would still go, but I think studios, these, you know, corporations, they don't want to have open up Tenet in July and then there's a new spike and Kung Flu, and then somehow the media spins it and they're like, well, it's the theater's fault, it's Warner Brothers' fault. And that's exactly what would happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's going to happen. August, maybe.
Yeah, I'm no matter what Nolan does, I will eat it up. I love Christopher Nolan's movies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can't wait for Tenet, but hopefully this thing works itself out. I don't think it's going to happen on that July date, what they're talking, but hopefully soon. And hopefully that's the first movie that kind of gets us back in theaters. I know you're struggling with that because you just, you know, you're a movie guy. That's what you do.
Dude, so. Well, then again, I'm one of those weirdos. Maybe, I don't know what your take on it is. Like, if theaters open up tomorrow, would you go to the theater?
I mean, I personally wouldn't, but not necessarily because of what's going on with the thing that we shouldn't mention. But I've kind of lost my passion for theaters in recent years, mainly because people annoy the hell out of me.
Me too.
Because I love going to the theater in isolation and in the idea of it. Back in the day when you would go, you know, when the Avengers came out, or go back to when Independence Day came out. I'm old enough to remember that. That was like my first movie moment, you know. Those were special moments. And now it's like, I almost dread going to the theater because people just are so aggravating with their smartphones, and half of them don't seem to even care about the movie they're paying good money to go see. It just drives me crazy. So that's that's just been building for years and years. So I'm not in a place where I'm itching to go back to theaters per se. But even still, I definitely wouldn't myself, and I don't think people would in general right now, because the way people are acting around here in Florida, they're taking this thing pretty seriously in terms of, like, I see people out in full body gear, you know, they look like Bane walking around. It's crazy. Dude. So
I love driving down the road and you see someone wearing like a mask walking on the sidewalk and you're like, I don't think you quite comprehend how this works. But with that said, if there was one movie to drag me out of my house to go back to the theater, it would be Tenet. So if I can just pick up a hazmat suit on eBay for the right price, man, I'll just go check it out.
Yes,
but that's pretty much the only movie, though. That's the only movie right now I can think of that would do that.
Yeah, I would now. Yeah, if theaters open tomorrow, no. But if Tenet was there, yeah, I would risk it. I would risk it all for Nolan. So,
absolutely.
I would totally do it. All right, another movie I want to talk to you about, something that has been a topic of discussion here on this channel, is one that in hindsight I've had a difference of opinion, and that's The Force Awakens. You loved The Force Awakens initially, like all of us did, it seems like.
Yeah.
Where do you at on that movie now with everything we've seen within Disney's trilogy?
Hey, it's still the best of the newest trilogy. I agree
with that.
Okay, that's still positive. Yeah, you know, I think what it was at the time, we were all desperate and we wanted to relive that magical, you know, Star Wars universe. And did I elevate that movie a little higher than it should have been? Sure, yeah. I mean, looking back on it, honestly, if the sequels, if The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker never came out, I think those tainted Force Awakens. Those
Oh,
tainted it.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and if Force Awakens was the only one made, I still feel like it's a solid B movie all day.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And the point I always make too is that, but at the same time, if it was great on its own, it wouldn't be affected by them. Much like how I say Spider-Man 3 is not Spider-Man 2 is not affected by Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 2 is still great, in my opinion. Still one of the greatest comic book films ever. 3, I've only seen it once and never seen it again, but it did not have any impact on the greatness of 2. So even though The Force Awakens, and I loved The Force Awakens, until TLJ came out, but if it needed those films to justify it, then it kind of just got exposed, by the hollow, story points and the things that JJ set up.
Yeah,
so.
I hated the moon base. I thought the moon killer base thing was just stupid. It was just dumb from a logical standpoint. I was like, I can't even wrap my head around how this even was created or why it was made. But other than that, I don't really have any glaring issues with it. The following movies, like I already said, just made me dislike it more. But other than that, I'd watch it if it was on. I'd much rather watch. I'm a weirdo though. Here's my weird thing. When it comes to the original trilogy, I like Return of the Jedi. Like, I think that's the most. I know I'm gonna get crapped on for this. I think it's the most enjoyable, most rewatchable of the original trilogy.
I don't think you can get crapped on for it. I do think the criticism. I know the criticism has kind of historically been out there about Return of the Jedi, but like for me, like that was, now it's not my favorite of the original trilogy. That's going to always be Empire, but Return of the Jedi was my introduction to Star Wars. That was the first Star Wars movie I saw, because when I was a kid and I wouldn't shut up, my parents figured out there were 2 movies that would shut me up. That was Return of the Jedi and Superman the movie. Nice. So they put those on and like, okay, find one of those and put them on. He'll shut up. And so that was my introduction to Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. So I have a lot of nostalgia for that movie, but I don't think you're going to get as much resistance on that as you as you think. Now, if you would have said anything positive about TLJ or Rise of Skywalker, you definitely would have. But any OT love, I think you'll get a lot of love.
Man. The moons of Endor, the little Ewoks, man, it just has the most variety in my opinion. Like it gives you the most all in one. And then that final scene with Vader and Luke, man.
Yeah, my favorite fight scene in the OT for sure.
Yeah, you can feel that
too much
raw
passion. Yes.
Yeah, that visceral emotion, man. It's not overly choreographed. It just feels like they're battling for something. And I was like, it gave me little chills just talking about it. And that's sort of reminiscent to the Bane Batman fight scene, the first one in the movie. Yes. It just feels raw and visceral. It's not choreographed. Every little punch isn't timed perfectly. It just feels like it's happening. And it wasn't overly stylized. And I think that's just little things like that in movies are what really draw me into them. I don't, when it comes to like Marvel films or comic book movies, it just feels like everyone's dangling on a wire in front of a green screen and they there's 15 camera angles of one punch. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yep. Overly produced stuff. It can definitely have a negative effect. I mean, that's one of like Marvel movies. Like I generally like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't dislike it, but very few movies actually got me emotionally invested. I mean, Infinity War blew my mind. I was not prepared for that because at that point in time, I was almost checked out of the MCU. I was like after Thor 2, which was terrible. I didn't even like Doctor Strange, which a lot of people were like, what? I didn't really like that one. I was just kind of checked out, but then Infinity War pulled me back in. And then Endgame, for all of its faults, there was some emotional points in that movie that got me. Where were you at on Endgame? That's a divisive movie.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right? I liked it. I'm very aware of the time travel issues and the 5-second sequence during the climax battle sequence where all the ladies show up on the battlefield together magically somehow. We don't know how they got there. I don't know. They're super. Maybe they all have like a GPS watch that says meet at coordinate A or something. I don't know. I loved it, man. For me, it was a fulfilling conclusion to that MCU universe as we knew it. And dude, I don't care what anyone says. If you say you didn't get this, when Cap picked up Thor's hammer, man, and the little chills, both nips get hard, you're ready. Yeah. I'm like, if that didn't happen to you, I don't believe you. You are alive.
No, I hear you. Same with when Black Widow and everything with that scene. I mean, that's some emotional stuff, what I mean? And so I It wasn't. It was nowhere, in my opinion, it's nowhere close to Infinity War, but it's still a very good ending, and it concluded the amazing Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in my opinion, that's the end of the MCU for me.
Oh
Now.
yeah.
That's not to say I'm not looking forward to like Guardians 3 and other things, but for the most part, it just doesn't have that same there's not same build up going on right now. But it is what it is. I know we're jumping all over the place, but if anybody watches his channel, you know that's kind of how he is. That's why I've liked his channel so much.
Thanks.
I know for the longest you're like trying to get a schedule for a while, and you're like, fuck, I can't teach schedules. I just kind of do my thing, you know. And
I can't, dude. I do a weekly live stream every Tuesday, and here's my promise: I will do it at some point on Tuesday. If I say 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, all of a sudden that fun outlet to connect with viewers and talk about movies, it now becomes an obligation. It's like now you have to schedule everything that day and rush it to get there at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
But if I just say between 6 and 9. Okay, there's some leeway in there. I can enjoy it. So yes. I'm a weirdo like that. I just cannot. I need flexibility. And if I stick to something too long, I instantly get bored and I have to do something else.
No, you and me are similar in that aspect. Yeah. And again, that's why I've always been drawn to your channel, you know, and now you've got 2 channels. So like what made you really start YouTube? What kind of got that ball rolling for you?
Yeah, dude, 2010, I was watching a few guys on YouTube talk about movies and sort of showing. They weren't just doing reviews. They weren't just sitting in a room. They weren't just, you know, they were showing sort of their lifestyle mixed with a little bit of a vlog. And I was like, I like that. It's kind of, it has voyeurism, but it also has like the backbone of a movie. And I was like, that's what I'm doing. And I feel like I can do that. So I bought a camera and started making like that. The series I do is called Flick Trips, where I go out, I buy movies, I go see movies, I talk about movies in my car. And I like moving. I like using the environment. I like to, you know, I just don't want to stare at the camera and talk about something for 6 minutes. I want to flip the camera around and show like this weird dude walking down the street in a chicken outfit or something. Yeah, Yo Boy Fish and Chicken in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's a real place. I love it. But yeah, so, you know, I just went from there. And then of course I started doing more of the sit down videos and reviews. And then I started my second channel, John Flickinger. It's sort of my whatever channel. So I could get away with not just talking about movies. I could talk about random stuff and people would still be interested in it. So yeah, that's more or less why I started. I didn't have friends. That's the summary of it, man. I didn't have friends, and I wanted to talk to a camera.
That's awesome. I remember a lot of the times you used to dress up as Batman with your mask and everything. I think those were some of the first videos I saw of yours. I was like, Jesus, this guy's a dumbass. I love it. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. I still am. I just don't have the Batman mask anymore. I know. Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's awesome stuff right there. Now, one thing I've got to talk to you about. Audience, I'm sorry. I know you all hate when I bring this topic up, but I got to talk about the Snyderverse. Got to talk about the DCEU. Are you a release the Snyder Cut person? First of all, do you want to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League? Because I do, even though I hate the movies, but I do want to see it.
Would I see it? Yeah. Of course I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to be good? Is another question. Do I think it brings anything new or artistic value or merit in for being made? Probably not. And that's based on the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. Mm-hmm. People love that. They praise that. You know what I got from that? I got a 30-minute subplot of Lois Lane looking for a bullet. That's what you get with the Ultimate Cut. That's what you're seeing. So if you want to see a 30 extra minute segment of Lois Lane, that's more or less what you get. There is a little more evolution of why Batman and Superman actually fight in a movie called Batman v Superman. But other than that, man, it's just based on that. I don't, all the concept images that Snyder releases, it's like, I don't think people understand that's probably a total of like 2 minutes of screen time of, you know, the Green Lantern or what is it, Darkseid, right? Showing up. So I don't know. What say you?
I mean, I've had a tough road with Snyder's DCU. I like Zack Snyder. I like Watchmen. I love his Watchmen. I love Dawn of the Dead. I'm not the biggest fan of 300, but I respect 300 for the visual achievement that it made. So I like Zack Snyder's. When he was announced, you know, as a director of Man of Steel, and then they plastered Christopher Nolan's name all over it. Oh God, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. This is gonna be the Dark Knight. I love Superman. So those trailers for Man of Steel are still some of the best trailers I've ever seen for any film. Unbelievable. And I tricked myself into thinking I loved Man of Steel at first, and I was like, no, I love this movie. I love Superman. I love Christopher Nolan. I love Zack Snyder. And finally, like, I think like the third or fourth viewing, I was just like, you don't like this movie, Jeremy. It's kind of like how I was with Last Jedi almost, you know, where I was forcing myself to like, you know, like, you can't hate Star Wars, you know? So yeah, I accepted that I really didn't like Man of Steel. And then I still was willing to give BVS a shot because I like Ben Affleck. I'm a big Ben Affleck fan. I love him as a director, as an actor. And when he got cast as Batman, the internet hated that idea. And I was like, I actually like this idea. I think Affleck could be awesome. And went into BVS, and yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes of that movie where he's like running into buildings where they're retconning the fact that Superman's not saving anybody, I was like, okay, we're off to a good start. And then that's the last thing I really remember liking about that movie.
Oh, dude, speaking of the first 10 minutes of Batman v Superman, I remember watching it at a special screening, and I was looking forward to it for all the same reasons you said. Huge fan of Affleck. I thought that was a perfect casting choice for a new Batman / Bruce Wayne. I knew he could pull off the Bruce Wayne especially. But man, that opening scene where they're playing the credits and you see young Bruce Wayne falling in the well, and he's like flying down it like this, and it like magical bats start lifting him up, and it is a dream sequence per se, but I was like, ugh, is this really what we're going to watch for the next 2.5 hours, man? But with that said, though, what are your thoughts on Doomsday?
What
showing up in the movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a big fan of, you know, the Death of Superman arc in the comics. And, you know, I was really glued into all of that, you know, the death, return, and all that. And I understand the problems with the return and everything in the comics. But what they did with Doomsday in that movie was, first of all, from a marketing standpoint, showing him was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And the way he looked, it was so bad. So it was just Doomsday. Again, he's not the deepest character in the comics and anything like that. He's not the Joker, you know what I mean, or anything like that. But still, it was as bad as that movie is. It's offensively bad with what they did with Doomsday, and then to rip off the Death of Superman story, and to not have the emotional attachment to losing Superman. You know, if you go back to the comics with Funeral for a Friend and all of that, and the emotion with the Justice League losing him. It just was it's so aggravating. And the one thing I've heard from so many people about these movies is I was never a Superman fan until I saw Snyder's Superman. Well, good, because it's not fucking Superman. It's not. It's just not. It's a good movie about an alien coming to Earth and trying to find his way. It's not a good Superman movie, and that is my problem with it.
I still like Man of Steel.
You do like Man of Steel? Okay.
I do.
That's going to win you some fans with the Snyder program, because they are going to be screeching at this conversation. So.
Yeah. Now, if he could go back in and add a little more saturation to the color grading to give it some life, that'd be even better. But yeah. Speaking of like Doomsday, man, I was like, why didn't they just tease Doomsday at the end of Batman v Superman, right? Yes. And then have a Man of Steel sequel and dedicate Doomsday, the Death of Superman, the whole storyline, all to that sequel, and then you would have had a solid Superman movie. Yep. But yeah, I like Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel. I enjoy. You know what sells me on it? The Zimmer score still moves me. So good. Visually, it looks pretty good. And I like Martha, Diane Keaton, right?
Was that Diane Keaton? Is that her? Diane Lane, isn't it?
No, Diane Lane.
May have to IMDb.
I think we're mixing up two actresses and combining them.
Yeah.
But either way, I liked her performance. Some people don't like Paul Kent or whatever in the movie, played by Kevin Costner, but I did.
Yeah, Paul Kent was good. He was good. Yeah. I didn't like that he died. I mean, that was my problem with it, was how he died. In fact, Soup's just like, no. He's like, all right, bye, Dad. It's like, no. Like, in the Christopher Reeve version, you know, he dies from a heart attack, showing Superman that there are things that you can't control. You know, there are things that are out of your control, and that did a lot for him to develop. In this one, like, I get the point of the scene. It's still not a good scene, but I will say Henry Cavill is fantastic. Like, I love Henry Cavill. I think he's perfectly cast in these movies. I just wish the writing was better around him. But say what you will about Man of Steel, at least from my perspective, it's still heavily debated and discussed to this day, and that's because it has a mega fan base out there, and it also has, you know, detractors like myself. But a movie that's that discussed in this, you know, way, it speaks volumes about the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I think what it needs, Henry Cavill, like you said, was perfect casting, man. I just think if they make another one, like the speculation is right now, have a director like Matthew Vaughn come and direct the movie. Matthew Vaughn, who directed X-Men First Class.
Oh, yeah.
Give
He's
us some
fantastic.
flavor. Give us some flavor, and you're gonna have a solid Superman movie. That's all it needs. It just needs some tweaks. That's all it needs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to hold myself accountable for my past words in certain aspects. So it's not the most popular thing with my subscribers these days, but I have always wanted to see a J.J. Abrams Superman movie. I don't think that's the most popular thing now with what's happened. Oh, and they hate when I say that. And I have kind of shifted my opinion based on what we've seen recently. But when I was saying that, I was speaking from Mission Impossible 3, J.J. Abrams, you know, Super 8, which I love Super 8. I love that movie. Where do you got on Super 8? You like Super 8?
No.
You didn't?
No, I tried. Like, listen, I love the concept of it. I love like the idea of like the nostalgic 80s alien coming to Earth, the Stranger Things vibe with the kids, man. But then you sort of like bastardize it by the end of the movie, where all these kids and everyone's looking up at the spoilers, whatever, the spaceship, the spaceship taking off, and everyone's looking at it with tears in their eyes, and you're just like, this thing just murdered people. Like, why does anyone actually care? This isn't E.T. Like, this is like a monstrous alien taking off into space. So it sort of felt forced. But the concept was great.
Yeah, because you're an 80s guy. Like you love you some 80s movies and all that. So if it has an 80s nostalgic touch and you still can't really convince yourself, then that's a serious indictment of that. Now, the first time I saw Super 8, I didn't like it, and then watching it when it came out on Blu-ray is when I really found some appreciation, because Michael Giacchino's score is fantastic in that movie. And yeah, I just overall I really like that movie. But yeah, so when I was saying like a JJ, you know, and I know Trek fans, but I like JJ09 Star Trek. I love that movie. I'm not a Star Trek person, and that I love that movie. And yeah, at this point, you know, where things are at now, I totally understand where people are with JJ and not wanting him to touch another, you know, like as much as I might like his Trek, you liked it, and a lot of normie Trek fans, you know, enjoyed it. I see why Star Trek fans hate it. And, you know, now where we're at with Star Wars, and I get it. So I can't continue to say I want to see a JJ Superman movie at this point. I think Matthew Vaughn is a great choice. Someone we were talking on our live stream the other day, and someone mentioned, who did they mention? Damn it, the guy that was just rumored to do the Indiana Jones movie. Logan. He did Logan.
Yeah, Cat. I forgot his name too. Gold. Last name's like Gold something.
Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on this right now? But everybody's gonna know who I'm talking about. He like Logan was amazing, you know, and he's had some really strong films out there. So I think that's a good choice. But Matthew Vaughn's done X-Men First Class. He's done what was those other Kingsman? He did Kingsman.
James Mangold. James
Mangold. Yes, there we go. So yeah, I think that's actually a great choice as well. So I guess we'll see, but I don't want to spend too much time on Zack Snyder's DCU, or this whole thing can just be titled F Snyder's DCU.
I'll just put out one statement. I think JJ is way better at directing Star Trek films than he is at directing Star Wars films.
I will agree with that, even though that's gonna, no matter what we say, it's gonna piss people off no matter what when it comes to JJ, unless we're all like F JJ forever. And look, man, I like his shows. I like a lot of his movies up to this point. He's no Nolan, but nobody is a Nolan at this point. No. So now, is Tom Hardy still one of your favorite actors? Because I know for a while Tom Hardy was up there with, like, Bale and Hardy are my two favorite actors. So I love Christian Bale. So
throwing a little Leo in there, man. You got the perfect duo there. Not duo,
trio.
Yeah, I was thinking of the tripod of perfection. No, man. Yeah, absolutely. I love Hardy. I love me some Hardy. I just wish there was sometimes in roles where he'd actually announce what he's saying
instead of mumble it.
Yeah, that's his style. That's his style now.
Yeah.
That's what he's come to do. So that's my only issue with Hardy. But man, they need to put him in more movies where he's not mumbling. But yeah, and are you looking forward to the new Venom?
I didn't like the first one.
Me neither.
Yeah. And I feel like I was the minority on that. I feel like because I came out of that, I didn't get really hammered too bad on YouTube in terms of I didn't give it a great review, but I just felt like there was a lot of resistance though, because people were like, oh man, I completely disagree with you. I loved it. And I'm like, really? Like, I love Tom Hardy and I was looking forward to this, but it didn't work for me. So I'm not really looking forward to the sequel. I'll go see it because it's Tom Hardy, but I'm not really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Chan, what is this, a virus or something?
Eddie, we must rip his arms off and make him a turd in the wind.
That was fucking great, by the way.
Yeah.
I just, it didn't work for me. Maybe I need to watch it again. Look,
no, you don't. You got enough the first time. The screenplay is terrible. Think about, they dedicated 40 minutes of that screenplay to some guy walking from point A to point B carrying a virus who you don't know anything about, you don't care about, all just to set up how the symbiote got from one place to another. That's what that was all dedicated towards, and I couldn't believe it. I wanted to like it. I think Venom's an amazing character. I love big muscle bound badass characters, especially like anti-heroes and villains, and so I'm hoping with Andy Serkis at the helm of the new one, they have a little more talent at their disposal now. So hopefully we have a competent screenplay.
Yeah, I was not a big fan at all, and so I can't say I'm looking forward to it. It's disappointing. But again, sometimes historically, there's been movies, like one of my favorite movies of all time is Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. Okay. I didn't really care for it that much. I didn't hate it, but I remember the first half of that movie because I'm such a big Denzel fan. So watching the first half of that movie where you're not, the first time you watch it, you're not understanding that he's a damaged person. He's been through a lot. He doesn't really know his life is not valuable to him. And then halfway through, Dakota Fanning, that relationship kind of re-energizes him. And then all of a sudden loses and all that. So going back and watching it a second time, it gave me a completely different perspective because I was like, oh, okay, I'm appreciating what this character is going through now, which I didn't understand it. Now, again, that's just one example of few times that's happened to me, but I don't think there's a lot of depth in something like Venom where I'm going to pick up on different aspects to go, oh man, I really do see this now.
Yeah, you wish it was there, but it simply is not. That's the problem.
Yeah, sad. Now, how much are you into games these days? Video games?
Clearly not as much as you, looking at your background. Hey, hang on. Here, I'll do my impression. Here's my SNES Classic back here. Setting it, there it is. There it is.
Oh man, SNES Classic's great though. I have one. Obviously, I have every system. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm jealous. Dude, it's not that I dislike video games. It's just I haven't really picked up an Xbox One controller since 2016. I loved getting on playing some COD, man, and now you have the multiplayer free to download version where you can just jump in with 100 other people.
Yeah,
that sounds cool. I have some friends who play it, but for some odd reason, every time I just want to let go and release in life, I just want to lay down in the fetal position and watch a movie. Like,
I hear you.
Like picking up a controller and playing it just sounds like stressful to me at this point in my life.
As much as my background might say I game all the time, and I try to game as more so is when we're on Twitch because we have a Twitch channel with Geeks and Gamers, and we spend a lot of time over there. But I don't game as much as I want, and why is because my attention span right now, I'm like bird, because like notifications, you're constantly on social media looking for what news is breaking. Obviously, I have a huge team at Geeks and Gamers, so like there's always this moving parts. So when I play a game, I really want to zone in, much like I do when I watch a movie or a show, and I just don't have a lot of time to zone in like I used to. And because if I put my phone down for 10 minutes, I'll pick it up. I'm like, there's 100 fucking notifications, I'm like, geez, man. But I mean, I do play, just probably not as much as it seems like it, but I wish I had more time. But between Netflix movies and then YouTube and websites and all that, it's like right now I'm watching Dark on Netflix, which is this, I think it's a German language film. It's basically a more adult version of Stranger Things.
Really?
And it is fucking fantastic, dude.
Okay.
Holy shit. Now you got to put the English, it's like English dubbed over. It's crazy. Like, I just finished season 1 and beginning season 2, and without spoilers, this thing goes places I never even possibly imagined it would go. I highly recommend this.
Can you give me a hint of sort of like how mind blowing this is?
It takes place in several different times.
Okay.
So there's a lot of time jumping.
Is it sort of it's a fantastical series?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say definitely has a Stranger Things kind of template, but nowhere near like the family friendly kind of, mass appeal that a Stranger Things is going to have. This is creepy as hell. The music is absolutely terrifying.
Really?
It's got nudity, it's got, it's got some, not a lot of gore, but it when it's necessary, it's there. They don't, hold back from a storytelling standpoint. Obviously the English dubbing is kind of, you watching the mouth move and kind of aggravating. And I typically stay away from these, but Gary from Nerdrotic actually told me he liked it better than Stranger Things. I'm like, okay, that's blasphemy.
Yeah,
At least the first season of Stranger Things anyway, I think is about as perfect as you can get. But I will say, this is pretty damn good. So dark.
I think you just sold me, man. I think we're gonna have to give that a watch. That sounds. See, I need something else to just binge watch at night. So okay, that'll be the next thing.
That, or if you haven't started Better Call Saul.
Oh, dude. You're talking to someone who could almost say they enjoy watching Better Call Saul a bit more than Breaking Bad.
Dude, I'm shocked to say that I'm not quite there, but almost. Like, it's, if you would have told me, because Better Call Saul was kind of hard to get into for the first season or two, kind of like Breaking Bad was. But bro, once it gets going, it is absolutely incredible. And I remember when Better Call Saul was announced, it's like, that's pretty good, but it also sounds cheesy. You know what I mean? And wow, Better Call Saul is the best show on television right now. I'm blown away at the development of, Jimmy all the way into, Saul.
McGill. Dude. Yeah, season 5 was great. There was a few episodes with Mike, the character Mike, in there. And I was just like really blown away by the few episodes where it takes place in a desert specifically.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, those could have been a movie just by themselves.
Man, and Vince Gilligan is he's the man, dude.
Yeah, so I can't wait for the final season 6. Hopefully.
So spoilers for no heady spoilers, but I want his theory on it. So if you haven't seen Better Call Saul, I'll throw up a little spoiler thing or something. I'll put a little timestamp on here. But what happens to Kim? What do you think happens to Kim?
I have no clue.
I'm so blown away by this, dude. I'm like, Kim is a fantastic character, and I'm torn. Is she gonna die? Is she just gonna? I can't see her leaving Jimmy. I can't see it.
I just don't see her dying because there's no way you would have got
exactly.
There's no way you would have got Saul Goodman that in the Breaking Bad series that come after this.
Yep.
He wouldn't have been goofing around doing funny trailers if the love of his life died at some point and it was his fault. He would have just went away and disappeared. So maybe she just leaves. But
it's hard to believe. It's hard
to
believe.
Yeah. Or maybe for the safety of her and I don't know, dude. I don't know. I just love the cutback sequences that they show in the beginning of the season in black and white.
Yeah, the Gene story.
Or him working at like the cheese.
Yeah, because that's Gene. Is that Gene, right?
Gene. Yeah. Sorry.
So,
working at the mall and just And the reason it's in black and white is to show how depressing and meaningless his life is now.
Yes.
And honestly, I love that. Yeah.
My theory is that I believe Kim is going to be alive in some way, shape, or form during the Breaking Bad, whether she's there or not, because we don't get a lot of depth into Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad. I mean, he's there, he's entertaining, but we don't get any insight to his personal life whatsoever. But they can pick up again from the Gene timeline if Kim and bring Kim back into the equation.
That could be another show. Yeah.
So
maybe.
So we'll see. Because there's no way we can get a Mike show because Mike's getting too damn old now. We can't get a Mike prequel or anything like that.
Well, this essentially was the Saul Goodman / Mike prequel series, which is
true.
More than fine with me. It was the perfect blend of everything I ever wanted.
Yes. Mike's one of the great characters, dude. Mike is fantastic. Go ahead.
Now, the biggest question is, do you think we're going to have a cameo by Heisenberg himself in season 6?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if they were going to do something of that to that effect, would have, already, they would have already blown their load, I guess. You know what I mean? But I don't think so. It'd be cool, but I think it'd be a little too on the nose.
Or maybe at least Jesse. Maybe a Jesse cameo.
The thing this show has proven is it doesn't need them at all.
Yeah.
It absolutely doesn't need them. It might have had in the early days, but it doesn't now. It lives on its own. It's its own show. And speaking of that, and no, I don't even think maybe Jesse. I would much rather see Jesse than Heisenberg.
Makes
or
more sense.
But even like now that we're on this subject, Breaking Bad is what was the Netflix movie?
El Camino.
Yeah. It was okay. It wasn't great.
It was like a good episode of Breaking Bad, but for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you never saw El Camino, I think your theory and your guesstimate of what happens to Jesse would have been the same. Yeah.
Exactly what happens. It was really kind of paint by the numbers of exactly what you expected. So, but overall, I mean, it's not a bad, long episode of Breaking Bad, but it just doesn't quite hit that, it didn't hit the expectation that we've come to expect from Vince Gilligan, but still good enough. But I mean, the Breaking Bad universe is just fantastic. It's unbelievable. So I'm glad you're on the Better Call Saul hype train with me, because I think there's a lot of people that are talking about it, but I don't feel there's enough people, man. This show is fantastic.
Yeah, it blows me away that it doesn't have the same fan base that Breaking Bad had. You think it would. And for me, it has a little bit more levity, but it has all the drama. And I feel like watching Saul Goodman is more interesting than watching Heisenberg. I just feel like his character is way more intriguing and has more diversity. And I love sleazy characters. I've always liked sleazy characters who are competent, though. And that's Saul Goodman is the embodiment of that.
The most perfect casting you could imagine for a sleazy lawyer. I mean, with everything I'm going through right now with the whole copyright strike, I was like, man, I'd give my left nut if Saul Goodman was real.
Just pulling strings, paying off drug cartels to remove that strike. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So good, man. But I think we're going to wrap it up. Dude, we could go. It's already been about 40 minutes. I said I want to keep it around 30 or 40 minutes, but I would love to have you back on, man.
Absolutely.
This has been amazing. And like I said, I've been a big fan of you for a long time. Do you have any projects you want to plug? Anything you want to promote? Patreon, whatever you got going on?
Yeah, just find me at the Flick Pick everywhere. Right now I'm working on my Flick Trip series. I'm trying to make it more cinematic and cooler and elevate it. And I got a drone, so I'm showing some really cool car shots, going to Best Buy, going to places that are closed. I'm working on that right now. That's the next sort of passion creative thing I'm doing on YouTube.
I saw that clip you put on Twitter. That was pretty cool. So.
I'm hoping to even make it better. I essentially want my Flick Trip vlog videos to look like Michael Bay movies.
Nice explosions and all. Megan Fox bending over and everything.
If I can find, just at the hood of my cars, I buy a Blu-ray. Sure, why not? Yeah.
What? Before we wrap it up, I got one question for you, and I didn't plan on this, but you mentioned Michael Bay. So, I won't call it a guilty pleasure, but what is your go-to movie when everything sucks and you just need to just have that good old homey feeling? What is your go-to movie to kind of cheer you back up or to take you away? I'll give you mine if you need a few minutes to think about it. So, but mine is Clerks 2. Clerks 2, Clerks 2, being 30, not knowing what the hell you want to do with your life, needing to go ride go-karts to clear your head, donkey shows, Elias, just running around screaming pussy and all this stuff. I just love Clerks 2, and I relate to that.
And Lister Fiend? Dude, I remember seeing that movie in theaters and just like, that was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I loved every second. I love the commentary on what Lord of the Rings is.
Yes. Just and the 3 movies walking. Yeah.
And you can't really disagree with it.
There's only one return, and it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Absolutely, man. Oh, yeah. I'm a weirdo. I love big, epic films that take place in like an ancient time period. So for me, if I want to just get immersed and forget reality, something like Troy.
Nice.
You suck a wine, just Brad Pitt all tan but the battle sequences are still amazing in that movie.
Dude, that fight with him and Eric Bana is still one of the best fights I've ever seen, and nobody talks about it. That is an amazing fight scene. Incredible.
Yeah, it's got everything you need.
And Achilles is just straight up, dude, man. That's a badass right there. That's
Oh
the
yeah,
definition of a badass.
that makes me want to go to the gym every day watching him.
Yes.
So and get better with a sword. For some odd reason, I don't know why. There's no use for that, but I still want to be. So yeah.
That's a good answer. That's a very good answer. I haven't seen Troy in a long time. That came out around the same time as like The Last Samurai.
Oh, 04.
I loved watching. Yeah, The Last Samurai was such a damn good movie. I remember when that first got announced, we were like, Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai? What? I was like, Tom Cruise, he's about to go to space now with Elon Musk. They're going to shoot a movie. Have you heard about that?
Oh, dude, yeah. I knew it was, you knew it was happening. It was either going to be Tom Cruise or the Fast and Furious franchise. Which one goes to space first? So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And is that, does he want to go to space for a new Mission Impossible movie or just for another sci-fi movie?
Exactly it is. I saw the reports out there. I'm not sure if it's Mission Impossible or not. But yeah, speaking of Fast and Furious, I unconditionally love those movies. The dumber, and I saw your you did your review with Odin. It's like, dude, the dumber they get. Like, I want to see dinosaurs. I want to see dinosaurs and sports cars in space fighting, and I want Vin Diesel to beat everybody. That's what I want to see. Like,
T-Rex chasing after. I could dig that, man. It's at the point where they need to just do that because now they're on that fine line of just being completely bombastic and stupid. So just be bombastic.
And it's kind of a meme at this point, but it's a real thing, dude. The Fast and Furious movies do have heart. They do have heart. Like,
I would say, like, the first couple. No, not the second one.
I'd say since obviously the Paul Walker element, since that was kind of. Since then it's lost a lot of it. Yeah, but you go back into those first few and like that, even you see the interviews with like Vin Diesel after what happened to Paul Walker, like that, you could tell that was a real, brotherhood that they had. And so yeah, now not so much, but like I haven't even seen what was the one, Hobbs and
Shaw.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. So
you didn't miss anything. It was bad. It was sort of boring and bad. I gave it a positive grade though I think The Rock, just for some odd reason, like if he just comes into the movie playing The Rock, then I know what I'm getting and I'm content. But I'm a weirdo. I sort of like Tokyo Drift. You want to talk about a guilty pleasure? Tokyo Drift.
I don't hate it. I've only seen it like once though. Because I love the first one. I love the second. I even love the second one. The fourth one, which is the one that Vin Diesel really came back, I think. Fourth one, and then obviously Fast 5 is fantastic. But I think I need to watch Tokyo Drift again. I think I've only seen it like once or twice.
I will warn you, it has a little Bow Wow in it. So take that how you will. I'm sorry, but if you just look past that, it's mildly entertaining.
Oh, man. All I remember is that one scene where he walks up to old dude and he says, like, you're the Justin Timberlake of whatever,
Of drifting?
Yeah, of drifting or something like that. Or whatever. And I was like, all right, this is so weird. All right, but whatever.
It's stupid.
Hey, it is. I mean, again, you're not going to get any Oscar, caliber performances there. So again, the dumber, the cheesier it gets, the better as far as I'm concerned. All right, man. Well, again, this was awesome. You are welcome back on this channel anytime. I would love to have you on as often as possible. And we can complain about Snyder movies. And you can defend Man of Steel, though, while you're doing it to save face with some of these people because they are ruthless. Yeah. And hopefully Tenet comes out soon. We'll see. And but other than that, man, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. So
yeah, thanks for having me.
You guys have a great day. I'll do my outro for everybody. So I gotta think about it because I'm not really in rhythm here. So it's Solo lost money, Raylos are weird, fuck Naughty Dog, and we will talk to you later.